The back motors of the ship are just holding it just enough to keep it from... It bursts into flames. Get it started. It's fighting, and it's crashing. It's crashing terrible. Oh, my. Get out of the way, please. It's bursting into flames, and it's falling on the mooring mast and all the folks between it. This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world. Oh, it's like 400 or 500 feet into the sky, and it's a terrific crash, ladies and gentlemen. The smoke and the flames now, and the frame is crashing to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. All the humanity and all the passengers screaming around it. I can't even talk to people. There's friends around there. I can't talk, ladies and gentlemen. Honest, it's just laying there a massive smoking wreckage. And everybody can't hardly breathe and talk and screaming. Lady, I'm sorry. Honestly, I can hardly breathe. I'm going to step inside while I cannot see it. Charlie, that's terrible.
Richard, on May 6, 1927, in Manchester Township, New Jersey, as the German commercial Zeppelin Hindenburg was preparing to land, 31-year-old Herbert Morrison was recording a commentary onto an acetate disc for WLS radio in Chicago. His recording was malfunctioning and the sound was distorted, but he captured some of the most famous audio of the era. That was the real-life Hindenburg disaster. Welcome to this month's video companion for the Classic Horrors Club podcast. I'm Jeff Owens from ClassicHorrors.club.
And I'm Richard Chamberlain from MonsterMovieKit.wordpress.com.
We're both doing a little time traveling this month, and I am back in 1975 at the Super Bowl. I'm not in 1976 at the Super Bowl at the Orange Bowl in Miami, Florida. I am here to watch the Dallas Cowboys play the Pittsburgh Steelers. And one of the things I love about going to the football game is just looking up in the sky and seeing the Goodyear blimp. You know, though, it looks like it's getting a little close. Huh. I wonder if there's anything to worry about. Nah, I don't think so. Richard, where are you?
Well, I don't know if I'm in any better place. As you can see, I'm currently standing atop a hill looking at the Hindenburg as it's coming in to land. It's 1937, and I hope everything goes well. You know, it's got that solid German construction, so I'm sure everything will be fine.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
Yeah. Well, we went to this extra effort just for our audience because we're talking about two movies that deal with the Goodyear blimp and the Hindenburg. And by the way, if you listen to the audio podcast, I posed Richard with a challenge. I won't let you know whether he was up to the challenge or not, but I don't really know the difference between a blimp and a Zeppelin. And Richard, I'm going to up the ante. Where does a dirigible come in?
Oh my gosh. I was already thinking that segment where we're trying to make light of the difference between a blimp and yes, yeah. I know there are people out there screaming at their, like, guys, come on, you do the science. Steve Turek, I know you did it. You're sitting there. We didn't go super factual, guys. We kind of went lighthearted. So cut us some slack. This isn't the History Channel, okay?
It's not a stupid question. I mean, and it could be different words for the same thing, but I'm sure there's minute differences that make a difference between the two. I mean, look at them. They look the same.
I think essentially, without going into all the hardcore science part of it, I think one is a little bit more sturdier than the other because we still have blimps. When was the last time you saw you saw the Hindenburg flying around? That's not all you need to know.
Yeah. So anyway, what movies are we talking about, Richard? Well, I am representing Black Sunday from 1977. That is technically, depending which way you look at it, a disaster film or not. But that's one, regardless, it's a great film. And we'll be talking about that. What do you represent, Richard?
I am representing the Hindenburg from 1975. A semi-historical disaster flick, semi being very, very semi. There is some historical facts thrown into the film, but there's a lot of fiction that essentially poses the question, why did the Hindenburg crash? What was behind it? And of course, we don't know the real answers to that. So I think you might have some fun along the way as the Hindenburg from 1975 kind of throws out a possibility, a theory, if you will, what might have been behind the crash.
One of the things that we do on the audio podcast, and we're going to do kind of highlight in this video, are the tropes of a disaster movie. And we didn't really say the overall theme of the episode is not aircraft devices, it is disaster movies. And disaster movies have tropes. You know, it's sort of like that old joke, Richard. You know you're a disaster movie when blah, 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 blah. So we're going to go through those with both of these movies and see how we can apply those to these movies. I think that's a lot of fun. I love categorizing things, and there are some fun ways to say that a movie is a disaster movie.
And for example, if you're on a boat and you see Shelley Winters, you might want to go ahead and make some other travel plans. I don't know if you want to make some air travel plans, because if you got Charlton Heston showing up, that's probably not good, but it's not good if Charlton Heston's on land either. So I don't know.
Yeah, there are signs. If you are observant, there are signs that maybe you are in a disaster movie. I don't know.
And I think cheesy music sometimes plays a part too, right?
A love theme.
You've got somebody playing the piano on the airplane, might not be the flight to be on. You might want to go ahead and go with plan B and just make sure it's not on the Hindenburg.
If you receive letters or videos or audio recordings speaking of a upcoming event involving a travel device that you're going to be on, you might want to make other travel plans.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was all spontaneous.
It was.
Yeah, good for you.
Professionals.
Yes. Okay, everyone, sit back, strap yourselves in, and enjoy this month's episode of the Classic Horrors Club Video Companion.
Enjoy, everyone.
People of America, this situation is unbearable for us. Until you understand that and stop helping the Israelis with arms and money, we of the Black September movement will make it unbearable for you. Today's horror is nothing to what will happen unless your government acts now. We have begun the year for you with bloodshed.
If you do not help me, you may have on your hands the blood of a great many innocent Americans.
Just a minute, sweetie. I'm getting something for you.
Her name is Dahlia Iyad, of Arab-German extraction. Black September joined in 1973. Here is her face. Look at it.
You know, for 30 years I have been killing and murdering. What have I achieved? Same world, same wars, same enemies, same friends, and same victims.
I am your superior in the organization, and you will obey orders.
You may be my superior in the organization, but you are not a woman.
I love you.
We found Dahlia Iyad,
You sure?
positively identified in a Miami hotel last night.
The day we set the big one off, we're only going to be 100 feet off the ground, right over the 50-yard line. Now look at this. That means 222,000 darts in the kill zone for 80,000 people.
The National Football League welcomes you to Miami's Orange Bowl in the championship of professional football.
What exactly is this Super Bowl?
Are you out of your mind?
Pat Summerall with Tom Brookshire. And Tom, you can feel the pressure building up all week. So here we go. Super Bowl is underway. By God, here it comes.
stadium. Corley to stadium.
Signal red alert. Get the president out of the stadium. All right, we're gonna shoot the thing down.
You can't shoot it down. It's filled with helium.
We are going to kill the pilot.
If anything happens to me, you use this on the backup fuse. It's going right into the stadium.
There's a bomb on the left.
Black Sunday. It could be tomorrow.
Black Sunday was written by Ernest Lehman and Kenneth Ross and Ivan Moffat, based on the novel by Thomas Harris, directed by John Frankenheimer. It was produced by the Robert Evans Company and was released by Paramount Pictures on April 1st, 1977. It has a running time of 143 minutes.
I really enjoyed it. It is definitely light on the disaster as far as disaster epics go. And as I think you mentioned, I mean, Black Sunday might not even be on every disaster list.
I watched this on the Arrow Video Blu-ray, and there's a booklet that comes in it, like a lot of movies. And I just want to read what this author, Barry Forshaw, he said, may suggest that Black Sunday is an entry in the massively popular disaster movie trend of the 70s. To some degree, the film's finale does indeed place it firmly in that category. There are the bone-crushing encounters of the football players on the field, the audience packed into the stands, the arrival of the president, despite Secret Service advice that he should watch the game on TV, security agents nervously prowling the grounds, aware that a catastrophe is in the offing, a catastrophe that they cannot yet identify, and in the sky, a man and woman hoping to bring about the deaths of 80,000 people to further their political ends. However, the rest of the film is no mere setup for this climax. In my mind, I'm thinking, okay, the last 36 minutes of this film is a disaster movie. Everything before that is the setup for it, which on its own is a very tense, exciting political thriller. When we get to the Hindenburg, we're going to rattle off a list of tropes from 70s disaster movies. There are many in that, like Richard hinted earlier. It's in some ways a very typical 70s. This movie, you can probably shove some of those into that last 36 minutes. For example, one of the tropes of a disaster movie is multiple lives are in danger. Well, certainly they are. There's a threat beyond their control. Well, yes and no. They certainly can't control the Goodyear blimp coming in, but the people who are aware of it could stop it. I don't believe you can stop a flood or a hurricane. And this is kind of a mystery, too. They don't really know what the threat's going to be, so a large part of the movie is them trying to figure that out.
What exactly is this Super Bowl?
There are elements, you mentioned one that I forgot, about characters being warned or not believing that there's going to be something coming up. The president told, hey, stay home and watch it on TV. Nope, he's not going to do that. Also, when they don't know what's going to happen, Robert Shaw suggests...
Mr. Robert, could I speak to you for a moment? I'd like to tell you, sir, that with Black September, there's no way you can take every possible precaution. They know exactly what they're going to do, why, and when. The only way we can take every possible precaution is to cancel the game.
Cancel the Super Bowl?
Yes, sir.
It's the most ridiculous suggestion I've ever heard. That's like canceling Christmas. If you do it, you might as well cancel every athletic contest in this country.
No, it's absolutely right. They can't cancel
Robert,
the
you
Super
do realize
Bowl.
there could be 80,000 people killed in your stadium. All right. You say you don't want to cancel the game. Well, then you have to stop every private plane within 300 miles. You have to cancel every commercial flight over southern Florida that day.
There's some little, purposeful, like, ignoring the threat that happens in a lot of disaster movies. Disaster movies usually have a confrontation between two characters, a big dramatic. There's not really that. However, there's an eye contact between the good guy and the woman in their respective flying vehicles before shots are fired. And they pause a little and there's an intense reaction. Death of the people that deserve it. Certainly, we get that here. And then there's not really a daring rescue of anyone, but there is a daring attempt to stop the Goodyear Blimp. And finally, in disaster movies, the characters sometimes suffer from some type of mental handicap or fear, a phobia, perhaps. Like if you were at the Super Bowl and you had a fear of the Goodyear Blimp, this was not a good day for you. But that wasn't here. However, as Richard mentioned, Bruce Dern certainly has the mental handicap of a screw being loose, and I think that's the technical term for that.
367 days, 6 years, they held me as a prisoner of war. And then I came back here, and my life was held back here because she took it away from me. Every single one of them took it away from me. All those guys, too. Yeah, I see them every Sunday. I see them from up there, down in the mass. Their little upturned faces and their 2 little weenies in a Coke, watching the big game, cheering the big game. Because they cheer all the good things. They cheer the big game, and they cheer court-martials. And they love the big event because it makes them feel big, and I was going to give it to them big. They'd have been talking about that goddamn game for the next 5,000 years.
Yeah, it's got components of a disaster film. I think overall I don't really consider it that, but I don't care. It's a great movie. It has disaster elements. We're going to talk about it.
Upship!
On May 3rd, 1937, the dirigible Hindenburg left Germany on a luxury air cruise to the United States.
Tomorrow, the Zeppelin will fly over New York City and blow up.
She spells out how and where the Zeppelin will be destroyed.
She was as long as an ocean liner and as tall as a skyscraper. The ultimate in safety and comfort. A grand hotel set free of the earth and sent soaring into the skies. Rainbows circled her prow. St. Elmo's fire danced through her companionways.
Don't be upset. We've been in no danger.
Take her down below the fog layer, Hans.
She was a fantasy of tomorrow floating through the world of yesterday.
Marvelous sensation on an airship. Floating. Timeless.
But on May 6th, while preparing to land, the Hindenburg suddenly burst into flames. And the romance of the Zeppelin came to an end.
No!
Why was special security assigned to this flight?
From a military standpoint, she's a flying dinosaur.
Why was the Gestapo on board?
Arrest Fourth Spar Douglas Oliver. Brilliant problem.
Who was diagramming the framework of the ship?
There are no secrets on Zeppelins.
What was Operation K?
They've picked up my passport.
George C. Scott, Anne Bancroft, William Atherton, Roy Thinnes, Gig Young, Burgess Meredith, Charles Durning, Richard A. Dysart. 62 people lived to tell the story. Was it sabotage?
What the devil were you doing up there?
An accident?
You're going to get about 15 minutes.
An act of God?
There's less than 10 minutes left. You're all gonna die. There's a bomb.
What really happened on the Hindenburg? After 2 years of production, brought to you at a cost of $15 million, the Hindenburg.
Oh, the humanity.
The Hindenburg was written by Nelson Gidding, based on a book by Michael M. Mooney, as well as historical events. Directed by Robert Wise, produced by the Filmmakers Group, released by Universal Pictures, as you said, on December 25th, 1975. It runs 123 minutes.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. Very different than Black Sunday.
This is one of those that I remember being boring. I wasn't really thrilled to watch it again, but boy, was I wrong. I loved this movie quite a bit. Well, let's run through those tropes that I mentioned, and you'll see they are plentiful. There'll be some plot spoilers here. Multiple lives in danger. Yep, there's a bomb threat. Like Black Sunday, they don't know that it's there, but some there do, and they're trying to prevent it. Warnings are disbelieved. Well, the letter that triggers all of this is turned out to be not a hoax, but questionable, I guess, in its integrity. So some people say, okay, we're done. We don't have to pay attention to security anymore, and are told to stop. But our hero, hey, he's there. You may as well keep investigating, and thank goodness he does. Well, I guess it doesn't matter if he did or not, because same result. But dramatic confrontation there is between the good guy and the bad guy. A brave sacrifice from a hero. Franz, George C. Scott, does make a sacrifice. I'll just say that and perhaps not spoil specifically, but it's not a purposeful. Sometimes in a disaster movie, they purposely sacrifice their lives. This was accidental. Something we did not have in Black Sunday, the survival of babies and pets. Babies and pets never die in a disaster movie. And here we have a Dalmatian. Sure enough, even specifically pointed out in the list of survivors, a little cutout picture of the Dalmatian. He did survive. Yes. There are several daring rescues in this, as long as you consider being thrown out of a crashing Zeppelin being a daring rescue. But there is also one very intense scene. The cast of characters, usually large, usually interwoven with their stories. The same is true here. We have Franz that has left home, some woman who later is one of my questions for you to explain who she was, but they're in some type of relationship, and the fact that he's going, I think she discourages him from going, and he should, just retire. He can't do that. He's got his obligations. So he leaves her at home. The Countess and Bancroft used to know Franz. We don't know exactly why. I'm thinking some type of romantic relationship, perhaps in their past. Carl, the so-called villain, has a woman at home. She's his collaborator, and she will later go through some drama on the side at home that's connected to what's going on the Hindenburg. We have Reed Channing and his wife Mildred. They are pregnant for the first time. He is some type of entertainer, and there is an entertainer on board played by Joseph Spa, who auditions. He wants to be in the next show that Reed Channing is performing. We have Albert Breslaw, who was given a pin at the station before the Hindenburg took off. We learn that it's filled with diamonds, so he has intrigue going on. He's joined by his wife, Mildred, and their 3 children. And finally, we have Emilio and Major Napier, who are, quote, traveling companions. The nature of their relationship, I am not certain of. So lots of drama, lots of stuff with these characters going on. That is a trope of a disaster movie.
One day I will change for a Monday, with freezing rains melting and no trains are running, and sad eyes passing in windows flimsy, and my seat rocking, legs not quite matching, got passport, credit cards, a plane that I'm catching. Black Sunday was one day too soon.